All right, my number one gripe, problem, issue, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is why words are so loaded and full of semantics and whatever. With mgtow. Now, again, personally, I feel that I only represent myself. I don't represent my race or what I'm passing as, or my gender or whatever. I just represent myself, and that is it. Now, of course, if I articulate something, which I think some of you could be self-reflective and say, and say like, oh yeah, this person. Okay, oh yeah, I was thinking about today actually. I want to make a video about Andrew Tate, but I want to take clips of what he said, so it's far better than me trying to kind of summarize what he said, because again, that's the game of telephone. So eventually I want to find those clips and just put together where I'm like, wow, this guy's fucking cool, like I thought I was the only one that kind of thought like this, that came to these conclusions, and then I think his more recent, you could say what the internet got to him, right? Fame got to him, whatever. Who knows? I mean, but he was already famous and rich or whatever, right? But now he's even more famous, I guess you could say. Fame or attention is an aphrodisiac. And I can understand why, for sure. At the end of the day, yeah, you can't stop people from expressing themselves, right? So just like Hitler, right? Hitler just threw out an idea, but if it wasn't for 30 million plus whatever Germans believing in it, it would have had no power. It's just, so Hitler didn't create the moment, he seized it, right? The moment was already there. He just took what people were really feeling and channeled it and voiced it. So yeah, the German people at that time were very, you can say, lesser evolved. Lesser just means you're more prone to fear, and fear leads to anger and violence and attacking and whatever. So, oh yeah, so I'm sure I'm going to say a lot of stuff that, just like me and Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I agree with what Dan DeMann says about 80%, 90% or whatever, but there's just little parts that I just disagree. Cool, right? So anyways, I forgot what sorry, there's no any script. Again, right now I don't have time for that, as you're going to see. Right, because I know they're probably gonna take down this channel, but I'm gonna have enough money and time to take care of all that. And I got other channels that don't even talk about this. So for those of you that find me on my other channels, you'll still kind of be able to see me or whatever. Might create a Patreon or something, or just create my actually I'm gonna create my own website. I forgot. I'm gonna always remind you guys to go to my website so you guys can see my videos directly through me. Therefore, I'm not censored to YouTube, because again, I don't need YouTube. Well, let's say I get YouTube to get you to go over there, so I'll remind you for every video, hey, go over there, because some of these videos, obviously I'm not planning on monetizing them, basically at the end of the day. So I think that should, for those that want to be like, well, I don't want to see Dan sell out, eventually sponsor today, blah 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 blah. But in a sense, me doing product reviews is kind of like sponsoring anyways. Now, will I try to do some affiliate marketing? Hell yeah, man, why not? Why try to make, again, I'm trying to make money to make a better playground for all of you. So, but that's a whole story. Okay, so my number one issue with mgtow, okay, is this notion, right, especially by young men. Old men, you should know better by now. Now, what is old? I don't know. Well, let's just say men who actually went through the marriage phase, right, and got divorced, however severe his divorce grape was or whatever, or lack thereof, whatever, right? Then they should have hindsight, or people who've been in multiple relationships. I would say at least 3 to 5, and more importantly, cohabitated with those 3 to 5. I think that's a more I think fuller experience of living with each other. Because again, to me, moving in with each other is just like being married. Because in the past, it was you wouldn't move in with each other before you were married, because you're now you're gonna be having marital sex or whatever. What was I saying here? Sorry, I'm high and I just went for a walk, and my body wants to go into meditation zen zone. Okay, but ultimately what it boils down to is men thinking that they can be as faithful to a woman for the rest of their life, so long as she's a good woman, whatever that fucking means. And that comes to my next point. A lot of you men have no fucking structure. Now, do we beat women in that? Yes, but in a sense, because we are the male force, it's in a sense our job. Just like as much as we would want to take women's part of their labor pains through the whole birthing process, we cannot. Okay, so we both have to accept, in a sense, at least our biological gender roles. Now, can these other gender roles, like who does the dishes, who does the laundry? I'm saying it's all freaking relative, for sure. I understand you ladies where, yeah, if you're working, but see, this is where, I cannot make decisions for you ultimately. I cannot say this is worth, I cannot give you my perspective of the value. You can agree, but ultimately you and your lover, whatever gender, it doesn't matter. If it's two people, they're going to promise some kind of grow together or not celibacy, monogamy to each other. Okay, you need to think about these things, and that's why I created this channel, the Domestic Service Provider Solution, right, to give you guys structure. But it ain't gonna be for free, because then you're not really gonna value it. I may drop pieces of there of my overall structure, but at the end of the day, too, it's actually very simple. Ask yourself these basic questions. And there's going to be some math, obviously. Okay, do you guys live in an apartment? Okay, if an apartment, what tasks are there in the apartment to maintain it at whatever level of cleanliness or organization that you guys are comfortable with, right? But let's say now 5 years goes by and you're like, you know what? We want to have kids, we want to have a dog, we want to have a house now. Okay, you move into a house. Okay, so do you move a house into the suburbs? Or do you move a house into the rural area, right? And again, okay, how many acres does the house have? Let's say it has 5 acres. Do all 5 acres have to be? Does 5 acres of grass have to be cut? No. Then okay, then a lot. Basically allocate all that, right, and see how much time and energy and everything it takes to maintain that, right? And so what I'm trying to say here is you got to track value. What is being given? But ladies, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to simplify the math real quick. On average, in most relationships, I would say at least 80, if not more, right? The man is providing way more value than you are, because if you had to outsource that into the real world, right, it would cost you ladies more, okay? But basically you're subsidized because the man says, hey, I want a consistent source of sex and companionship. I don't even know what words these damn fucking things. I have a feeling now that I'm getting kind of shadow banned or whatever, because I don't use the right language. But for those of you the few of you that get this, whatever, okay. And the other videos that go viral, and then when you finally scroll down here, okay, you'll be listening to that. But so he's basically, because I say it's an addiction, right? So it's a need, right? But I see a lot of women basically thinking they're bringing this much, and they basically, because they're above you, they're treating you like crap, basically. And a lot of men let that, because again, they're putting themselves underneath her because of the value of the punani, the wap. And so be it. Again, as I tell men, I'm gonna tell all of you, even you young boys. Really, that's a lot of you. That's a lot more of you, actually. You're young boys. And then because society delayed adulthood and all this other stuff, okay, then it's even more. There's actual boys, right? Okay, let's say prepubescence, right? Teens, pubes, and then your early 20s, right? There's not really, I guess, a terminology for that. Then your early 30s, and then your 40, over the hill, whatever. So yes, there are prepubescent, pubescent, I guess, adult, which is like anywhere from 18 to 21, right? Because it's like, you're an adult, but you still can't drink. So technically, in a sense, the government's just saying, hey, you can't do this before this age. They're not really saying you're an adult. And that's why they had a gripe about, like, oh, okay, I can go kill somebody, but I can't drink. Like, what the fuck? Like, again, this is my argument against the prohibition of prostitution. Okay, it doesn't solve any problems. Okay, who are you, government, to tell women what to do with their bodies? So ladies, fight for your my body, my choice. Like, what the fuck? But then again, it's being done through dating, all that stuff, and so it's not. Even though it's illegal, it's not really enforced. There's some manpower, but relative to all the other things that are probably more important as well, the prostitution crime busting whatever or cycles that they do around America or the world or whatever are insignificant. Okay, so and again, since most people have been in a sense, that's why sometimes I can't blame women. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess, well, because it is illegal. Even if you wanted to be transparent now with the dude, you're stepping into some really muddy waters, right? Potential muddy waters or whatever. So there's that. But yeah, sovereignty of the body, and I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so there's pubescence, okay, and then there's semi-adultish, whatever, 20s or whatever, right? So what are you? That's what I'm saying. It could be a very deep philosophical video on just like what is it to mean to be an adult. I come up with, I think, some interesting ways of viewing at it. I would say you're not really an adult unless you see, and just like that, there's going to be a spectrum. Okay, so the entry level, let's say adult, your adult 1.0 is when it's you own a business and you're managing somebody else's time. You direct somebody what to do. Okay, and they're an adult and maybe even older than you, or at least adult by legal terms. Okay, so just to simplify it, right now if you have, let's say, 10 employees, now you're like, let's say the 10 employees, that's kind of like the 10x thing, right? And then the next level will be 100 employees, and then when you reach 1,000 employees, and then when you reach 10,000, okay, so like that's your levels of adultness. But either way, even those people that run those companies, they have other, again, just like look at a kingdom. It gets broken down, right? Just like America, it gets broken down. Okay, it gets broken down to states and then into fucking counties and then into cities and whatever, villages and whatever, right? The local government. So it all breaks down. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so there are basically long-winded way of saying there are boys in men's body, and there is quite a bit of them, and that demographic has grown. So not only are there literally young boys, which again you can't blame them for making mistakes of being young, dumb, and full of CUM. But then you have, I even see it in my generation, right? I'm almost 40. I'm 38, about to be 39 in like 6 months, right? Yeah, a lot of my homies or whatever that I don't really hang out with anymore, they play games. They play video games and just like. But at the exact same time, again, what I don't know is, okay, I watch YouTube videos, maybe I'll watch some Dragon Ball Z here and there, just to relax the brain, right? Some movies or whatever, right? But the question is, how much time are they spending on, let's say, games, right, versus everything else, right? So while I'm saying everybody's allowed for some recreational time, but I would say they're overplaying games, and so other things in their life that are going to be important as they get older starts falling through. And yeah, it's like a modern day acceptable addiction. So along with obviously the experience of sex. I was seeing a lot of men, right? Probably our fathers. Yeah, my father included. Well, obviously he got married, right? Mom divorced him, right? So my mom's part of the statistics. And but in his case, even though they didn't speak about it, right? Again, at the end of the day, fuck the words. Look at the actions, okay? So even though they didn't really have a written down formal contract agreement, again, a structure, a plan. Again, people don't plan to fail; they fail to plan, right? It was the unspoken rule, and for the most part, still is for most society, that if you fuck up the money management, your employees, i.e. your wife, girlfriend, whether you have kids or not, right, are going to leave you, right? If you can't meet payroll, right, they're going to leave you. Because it's not love, it is business. And again, that's why we're just coming, over here is all about just being transparent, not judging the conditional circumstances that need to be for a relationship to happen. Again, it happens in all relationships, even the non-sexual ones, right? So anytime, let's say any of you who outgrew your friends, exact same thing with for the most, well, the money is a little tricky in that, but there is money involved. There is money involved because sex is not into the factor of sex is not into the equation. It becomes a whole other monster, because again, the law is you cannot sell sex, and that's why it complicates things, right? That's why women can't admit it. And men don't also want to admit it because, not only because of certain men would just don't want to admit it because of the law, or because they don't want to be like, wait, I'm against prostitution, and I would see that man who got caught buying prostitute as a pervert or whatever, blah 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 blah, right? So they can't see themselves as that same person, and therefore they're in denial. Oh no, well because she cooks and she cleans. But you tell that same man, hey, if your wife just stopped giving you the guap, what would you do? But she still continued cooking. She continued cooking. She cleaned. Everything was spotless, right? Rub your toes, rub your back, petted your head, whatever you need as a man, right? But you ain't getting those cheeks. What now? What now? Now, of course, some men would be like, well, they'll keep her for the outer experience, just like people who stay in toxic relationships because they built up this Instagram relationship goals, right? And he's cheating with his work wife, right? And she probably too. She's probably like, okay, I'm cheating with Woodson. That's why I'm not giving him the guts because, right? It's just like, again, try eating the same food every single day. It's not that they don't love each other anymore. Is that they don't like the boundaries that this love now brings in order to be loved. So, all right, here, listen to this.
Well, you've said it yourself. Fear. It's all about fear.
Yes, but are these fears justified? Aren't these restrictions and constrictions only appropriate given the behaviors of our race? A man meets a younger woman, falls in love or in lust with her, and leaves his wife, for instance. I use only one example. So there she is, left with the kids and no employment skills at 39 or 43, or worse yet, left high and dry at 64 by a 68-year-old man who's become enamored of a woman younger than his daughter.
Is it your supposing that the man you described has ceased to love his 64-year-old wife?
Well, he sure acts like it.
No, it is not his wife he does not love and seeks to escape. It is the limitations he feels placed on him.
Oh, nonsense. It's lust, pure and simple. It's an old geezer simply trying to recapture his youth, wanting to be with a younger woman, unable to curb his childish appetites and keep his promise to the partner who has remained with him through all the tough and lean years.
Of course, you've described it perfectly. Yet nothing you have said has changed a thing that I have said. In virtually every case, this man has not stopped loving his wife. It is the limitations his wife places on him, or those placed on him by the younger woman, who will have nothing to do with him if he stays with his wife, that creates the rebellion. The point I'm trying to make is that the soul will always rebel at limitation of any kind. That is what has sparked every revolution in the history of humankind. Not just the revolution which causes a man to leave his wife, or a wife to suddenly leave her husband, which, by the way, also happens.
And I love how God balanced it out at the end, because
if you don't have $5,000 in...
Statistically speaking, women are initiating 70-80% of divorces. Now, I personally say, 10% of them are definitely pieces of shit. So, but that still leaves, a good 60-70%, depending on what range you're looking at, right? And so be it. That definitely there are definitely justified divorces, but I would say a lot of them are unjustified. But anyways, all we're saying there basically is, again, this is why I tell women, just because he cheated first doesn't mean you wouldn't have cheated at her after or first or whatever, right? It's gonna, in every relationship, someone, whether it's the guy or the woman, who knows. Now, who's doing that more? At the end of the day, that number shouldn't even matter, because if it happened to you, then okay, then you were the guy where she cheated, right? And the girl, if it happened to you, okay, you were the girl that the guy cheated first, okay? But all I'm saying is, like, okay, a lot of these MGTOW men, again, are thinking that they can make the same promise, that they can be faithful so long as the girl is good, they can be faithful. And that's just like, oh my God. Exact same thing with women, right? Oh, if he was the perfect man, then I could definitely be faithful. And again, you listen to these books, it's not your fault, okay? Yes, this was societal conditioning to make you think that way. But what has reality taught you? And some of you don't learn. They think, oh, he was just a piece of shit. Maybe it's not that the cheating is per se bad, because if the actual natural state of man is non-monogamy, To force people into, especially a permanent monogamous relationship, is a recipe for failure. Is doomed, is destined to fall apart. The only reason some of them don't fall apart is, again, religious reasons and economical reasons, basically, right? Around the world, right? Where the infrastructure is not, or is not to a point where women can easily find work outside the house. Yeah, those women are living in quiet desperation. But the man is probably too, because he just, well, who knows? It depends. Yes, it all depends on what country you're in, and also, even if it's illegal, doesn't mean that some men are not going to take the risk, right? Some men, they want to do it, but they're terrified. I met them. They're terrified. Okay, they are terrified. So they're stuck with like, having approach anxiety because how women are, and then even if you pass that, then it's okay. Then it's like a series of like dates where you gotta listen to most women's babble. And this is my other gripe with some of these men. Okay, so that's what I was gonna make in my mind chart or whatever, the whole like mind map flow chart thing, right? The types of men. There are certain men that think, right? They're just flooded with chemicals because there's a beautiful woman, right, in front of them, and they maybe haven't been around like one like that or whatever. And so basically, they're chemically drunk, they're induced, right? Drunk in love, all these euphemisms we make and all sorts of shit to describe. Basically, yeah, you are on a drug, okay? And this is not women's fault. Now, wait, hold on. To a certain degree, okay? Yes, ladies, yes. You dressing, that's why we talk about dressing provocative. Provocative means you're leaving less to the imagination, and therefore you're really, riling up the tiger inside a man, right? So there is that. Now, again, if you were more modest dressing, okay, we're speaking again. You're always going to be sexualized because sex is a natural thing for all species, all humans, right? So to condemn men for that, you're condemning yourself because you want it eventually too. Okay, sure, not from very few select guys, but at the end of the day, you still want it, okay? So, what the hell was I saying here? So they think that they truly like being around these women. Actually, I remember, I've seen a couple guys actually make some videos about observing themselves in this phenomenon, like, yeah, in the honeymoon phase, everything she says is so godly and so profound, like, oh my God, You're thinking with your D, and that's okay. That's biology going, okay? That's okay. Again, because it's neither right or wrong, but you have to think about the consequences of how you move depending on the girl and what sign she shows you, or sometimes, again, some things aren't predictable. So, okay, so there are those guys that think they really care about what a woman is saying. Okay, and I'm not saying this to be an ass or whatever. We're just different. We don't have the same interest. That's why women, he loved about me. Why did he change? Because he really, post nut clarity, right? And maybe sometimes for some men it takes, again, here we go, different types of men, right? For some men it takes multiple, right? Or like husbands eventually find out, it's like, oh, fuck. Shit, this actually wasn't, this consistent source was not necessarily worth it. It actually ended up, most men, it ends up costing them more than paying it up front. Okay, guys? Mr. I don't pay for sex. Yeah, I love that meme with starter pack. Okay, so you bought the house, you pay most of the mortgage, right? What's it called? Yeah, you pay for most of the cars, if not all the cars, right? Again, Kevin Samuels revealed it, right? On average, women want at least a 70-30 split, right? Sure, they would love to take 100, but they at least love a 70-30 split, right? Or like the studies show that women want, it'd be nice for you to be equal with them, but they truly prefer 30 to 50% above them, okay? Why? Because, they're going to take it, and you're going to need to have that buffer so that she feels appreciated and da-da-da. But ladies, you're just engaging in business, okay? You involve money. If there's money involved, it is business, okay? And even if it is 50-50 for sure, if you're not saying that you're willing, here's the thing. Obviously, in worst case scenario, right, the husband says, okay, I'm going to be the one willing to die for the family, right? Someone breaks in, okay, he takes his shot, he messes up, okay, well, you're the next line of defense. So women will probably say, well, yeah, of course I'm going to protect my family, blah, 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 blah. Now, the next thing I would say, okay, did you acquire the skills of hand-to-hand combat, weapons, right? That's what I'm going to teach my daughters and kids. Again, I'm trying to teach everybody I'm trying to teach people teach them how to fish versus give them a fish, okay? That's not actually truly loving, but again, we have a world of teachings, right? Society's teachings that we think are good or whatever, but in reality, they're just not practical, and because they're not practical, they're not self-empowering, okay? So my wives or girls, or the girl that I happen to be at that time with, right? Let's just say, again, I have my concubines because that's my plan, right? They were going to live on their own. Whatever, again, I have my rotations of girls, right? So one night, one of them comes over, right? And fucking, some dudes break in, whatever, right? I want her to know how to use a gun, So, what's it called? So now, of course, you can't force anybody, right? If it's a girly girl, but ideally, I think, again, that's why I'm playing the numbers. I'm like, okay, this is what I want. If you're not willing to become this lady and also see that it's actually, this stuff empowers you, right? If you want to be like, oh, no, I just want to be, okay, fine. If you want to be the Percy little girl, like, no, I just want to be the dancer under stress. You be the hero, you be the hero. I know icky guns. No, I don't want the blood in my hands, even if it's like, wait. Okay, so you rather take a chance of potentially me failing, right, and then you potentially getting raped, right, when you could have killed in a sense, I was the first battleground, whatever, right? You have a higher chance of basically surviving, especially if it's just one dude, right? So that to me is not attractive. Someone who doesn't want to be practical with their life, which is, again, self-empowering naturally. So yes, ideally I don't want to deal with the girls. Now, here's the other side of it too. What are the chances of, basically, we live in the most peaceful time, especially, let me put it within this in context. We're just talking about America and pretty much first world countries, okay? All right, so let's put that factor into the equation, okay? We're just talking about America. Fuck it, let's just make it simplified. We're just talking about America, right? The chances of someone breaking into your house or whatever, dude, we are living in some of the safest times ever alive. And that's why some people are so bored that they're kind of self-destructing in other ways. So even if the man says that, the chance is little, but hey, it's like insurance. Even though the probability is low, it is still possible. So therefore, right, if you want the man to die on your behalf, okay, and you especially don't want to learn these skills, then show this man utmost respect, okay? And if he's paying, okay, it's business. So because I'm the client, okay, fine. If you're not cool with me having another girl that I have to pay for her love, just like I'm paying for your love or services, then okay, cool. Thank you. I had fun with you. It was a great relationship. Hope you learned something. Okay, cool. I'm going on to the next one. Because the more you try to control a man, especially a man that has abundance, right? Just like same thing, men with women. Yeah, now women, you should be happy you have that option to leave. So if he's truly toxic, which how do we define that? I don't even know. Again, so there's gonna be cases where ladies, some of you will leave and you will say that because he was toxic, only to realize that you were the toxic one and regret it. And maybe he'll take you back, maybe he won't. Who knows, right? Whatever. Then there are the women who he truly was toxic, and it was good that you left. But as I tell people, if you don't have cameras or a system to objectively observe how both of you act and keep track of grievances or trespassings or wrongdoings, and also all the good stuff that has been done towards each other, right? And associate some kind of value to it, you're eventually going to end up a fight. Oh, I'm being used. No, I'm being used. No, I'm being used. How can you you have no measurement system? I tell people all the time, this is like you going to an employer. The employer says, okay, you're hired. He or she doesn't tell you how much you're going to pay per hour, and on top of it, there's no punch clock. You just walk in whatever, and there's just who's to know that when you came, right, and when you left. So 2 weeks, whatever, however they end up paying, right? 1 week, 2 weeks down the road comes down the road, and you're like, you look at your check, and you're like, nah, I worked more than this. How did you count that, right? So of course, this is just an analogy, but imagine if this is how it really happened. But the reason it doesn't happen because this is what would happen. So exact same thing with, because we're not acknowledging the fact that the family called the business called family is a business. Okay, you're not in the business of making more money per se, right? Which in a sense, kind of you are to a certain degree, right? Or you at least you hope to. Why? Because then you can, have more fun, right? Buying more shit, whatever, right? More vacations or whatever, right? So in a sense, you are in the business of making more money. So hopefully you can, if you don't have access, okay, if the current amount of money you make doesn't provide for the lifestyle you want to live, that you imagine because of whatever, the internet or whatever, then in a sense, yes, well, the man for the most part is usually the main CEO, and so be it, right? The cost to pay the boss, right? There's a cost to everything. There's a trade-off, meaning a price, a cost, a trade-off to everything, okay? You want to be the boss, the trade-off is you got to provide and meet the payroll. Okay, cool. Again, as long as two consenting adults agree, right, no problem. But again, most people don't. They have covert contracts, right? Therefore, again, they're doomed to failure because people don't fail to plan. Sorry, don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. That's what it boils down to. Okay. So anyway, so my ultimate gripe with MGTOW again, and this would even apply to women too. Okay, is the notion that you think you can be faithful for the rest of your life, right? And for those of you who, okay, here's the thing. See, at least where I give people the marriage credit, I guess, is that at least you guys, right, through the marriage ceremony is basically, yeah, you're saying, hey, I those words basically, it's kind of like, basically, that is a contract. Okay, so even though I would say over and over again, I still stand by it, it is a horribly vague contract, and that's the problem. But at least in the sense of like, hey, at least you have a contract as a step forward, it's something, right? I would say it's better than nothing, okay? So at least you have some kind of standard. But it is very vague, right? So there is definitely, let's just sum it up to the agreed upon notion that you're only gonna emotionally and sexually love this person, okay, for the rest of your life. Now, for those of you that are in limbo, too scared to talk about the relationship, even let's say you've been 5-10 years down the road, right? The woman's like, I'm scared of asking him, if we're ever gonna get married, blah blah blah. Yeah, yours are even more covert than anything else. So, and whatever. So, sorry for the long-winded whatever, but again, I hope. Okay, so yeah, that's why I don't want to label myself a MGTOW. Well, first of all, people come up with their own labels or whatever, and there's no central authority, which can be good and a bad thing. Again, trade-offs to everything in people. Okay, you men out there, you young men, you boys, you young men, right? Let's say the middle, right? I guess we would say the 20s, right? And then you men, I would say at least 40, right? Again, there's exceptions, right? Well, see, I could have had employees, but I choose not to. I'm still trying to find a way where I don't have, but I know I'm going to have to. Okay, so, but at least I guess let's say actually, yeah, there we go. I'm a level 1 adult because I at least have I have multiple LLCs, but yes, I take care of my own taxes. I don't have a mommy, daddy, corporate, whatever, small mom and pop job. Collecting my taxes and sending it to the government. Okay, so there's their level 1, and then like I say level 2, I guess, is when you have an employee, a full-time employee. Okay, and they're 18 or over, right? Just to make it simple, an adult, legally speaking. But if they're older than you, okay, you can say you're a level 0.2, okay, or 0.3. You're a level 3 adult. See. We have to make systems at the end of the day, and sure, those systems will eventually be. I mean, look at right now, right? If you look at the history of how we came to the rulers that we have nowadays, even the weighing system, there was a time where we didn't agree upon what from here to here was. Until we agree upon from where here to here is when we can actually systemize and expand very quickly. Okay, so because that in itself is like war until we're unified, right? And now we have the final war of the metric system versus the U.S. system or whatever. Okay, and I know the metric system is going to win eventually. It just is. It just makes sense, So it's just we're still at that time in history where these two are battling it. But again, it may not be in our lifetime, but eventually it will switch to metric because again, once we unify, I guess that would be a good sign that we're actually I think maybe we unify in a common I guess not religion per se, but just a common internal truth. Right, and therefore we're like, because of that, okay, we are one now mentality. It's like, let's get rid of the U.S. system, man. It just doesn't make sense. Now the whole world is metric system, and and we're done, okay? Because obviously we can convert one to the other, whatever, and blah blah blah. And manufacturing would probably be different, right? It'd just be more homogenized, So okay, so basically it, man. You cannot make the same promise. Shut the fuck up, okay? It makes me sick to my stomach, and figuratively speaking, okay? You cannot promise sexual faithfulness to even the best of women, because and women, you too, okay? So that's it. That's my main gripe with issue with MGTOW, and again, ultimately, I realize that I could and should only represent myself. I don't profess to speak on behalf of anybody unless they say, hey, Dan speaks on behalf of me 100%. Okay, then that's a different story. Okay, that's a different context. So there you go. All right, I make it too winded, but hopefully this short clip also made you understand. There's more to it. Okay, there's a lot. Obviously, under 2 minutes, you think you're going to grasp the whole thing? No, there's a bunch of other conversations that deal with this, basically the same topic. That, the soul is constantly changing, and therefore to make up the silly promises that marriage makes people make is just a recipe for disaster. So, what's the solution? Again, it's all relative to the environment right now. I would say is that men and women have to be transparent about whatever, and both of them have to be cool and have a system to split apart, or you never merge together. Okay, you always have he has his place, you have your place, and it keeps everything right. So you're not gonna have to fight about the couch, blah blah blah, right? If you both get animals on your own terms, right? They live with you, then that's your animal. Okay, it's just like you won't have the bitter, nasty potential fight over assets. And it's just much easier to keep track of, right? So, again, I profess that women, if you don't want to be, in a sense, to make yourself de facto escorts, okay, when you guys go out, right, you take your car, he takes his car to whatever, right? You guys might switch places, to fuck or sleep over, whatever, right? There are times where you want to be together, right? Basically, you keep a log, okay, and that way no one's taking over each other. I just remember. Okay, so I had this massage lady, right? I'm trying to tell her all this. She's like, "Oh, I'm not that kind of person who keeps da 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 da." But you are, you are, and the fact the fact that she's one of those women that's like, she wants a man to pay, but wants him to be loyal. It's like, what? Or she said, that kind of man he just has to pay. Okay, so then it's just still, if it's still about payment, again, escorting, so why not just treat you like escorts, right? Temporary use, just for fun, right? And then move on, Basically, I think Leonardo DiCaprio has it the best, because men, they're forcing you right after the day. Okay, so again, you are the client, man. Listen to me, right? I can get you fucking pull you by your hair or your ears, whatever, but not your ears, but your head, right? Listen to me, you fuck idiots. You are the client, okay? Yes. No money, no honey. Okay, fine. Yeah, be okay. No honey, no money. The honey comes first, or I ain't shedding it. So talk about discipline from no fapping. It's like, no. you and being a real man, like, no, yo, is it no money, no honey? If she says yes, okay, okay, fine, cool. All right, then, since I'm the one with the money, I'm the client. No honey, no money. Okay, we'll see who can last it out. See, and in a sense, that's what mgtows kind of doing at the end of the day, right? Like, that's basically what they do, right? My wallet, my choice. Okay, great, I salute you. You know. Now, see where I disagree. I guess this is where I'm purple pill. Is okay. I'll cave in or whatever, right? Because I don't go past $500. Not that I never will, because again, money is relative. Once I have millions of dollars, you know, I'll probably maybe go up to $1,000 because that's. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's if a girl ever quotes me more than $1,000, I'm like, why would I go to you when I can hire a porn actress and actually make, in a sense, convert that $1,000 into potential passive income by hiring an actress, making the movie, and let it generate views on whatever Pornhub or whatever the hell, you know. Oh, there you go. Now I'm shadow banned again. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. So, you know, I don't know. I'll probably be doing both. You know, sugar babies and whatever. Oh, and I do plan on, you know, here and there, just I want to test my theory out. Okay, with a couple of girls. Yeah, I take them out to dinner, and I'll be like, okay, well, you know, hear out their bullshit again. I want to record this shit. Okay. You know, funny enough, I'm the one that tends to. I recognize that, but that's okay. That's okay, right? Because you know they say let them speak, they'll tell on themselves. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, because again, I'm not saying as telling myself. I'm just being honest, and I know most of you don't get it. So that's why I tell women, I'm like, actually, I let you go. They think, no, I let you go because no, because. Unlike most men who don't tell you the truth because they know how you're going to act, I know how you're most likely going to act, and that's me testing. That's me shit testing you, right? If you're a logical person. If the logic offends you, if truth offends you, then I know you are not a person to basically invest in. Okay? So yes, I let you go, right? I kind of did didn't speak much or whatever, right? Fucked you a couple times. You know, usually about, like I said, 3 or 4 times I'm bored by them. You know, and and I was looking for a domestic service provider to experiment with that, but now that I tried, I mean, I could have tried harder for sure. There is that, you know, so and I still can do it after the fact, you know, but you know, right now I'm getting close to where I have enough money to now just do this sugar baby thing without a problem. Before I was trying to do that, right, for as an experiment, but also just be like, okay, then I get to save money. Again, and so I would pay her on the back end, but it was already defined. Okay, it was already defined, kind of like a prenup or a severance package. Okay, so I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna blow up and I'm gonna pay for everything. And I'm gonna spoil you, babe. And then that's the girl that you basically love bomb, and then your car gets keyed, or you know. If you have kids, you know, she divorces and tells the kid, hey kids, tell him he fondled you and blah blah blah. So again, some of you have paid the biggest price and don't even know it, and just all because you don't want to admit that basically 99% of women make themselves de facto escorts. Okay, so I'm going to say escorts, not necessarily prostitutes, because if you define prostitute as just strictly just sex and that's it, so the escorts provide companionship. Now, of course, okay, so a wife provides sex and, let's say, a kid. Okay, that's my, again, just, if you look at my video, the difference between a girlfriend, a wife, sugar baby, and escort, which sugar babies and escorts are basically the same thing. Now, again, for me, they're basically end up becoming, I make them prostitutes because I don't want the companionship, right? Now, if it happens, it happens, but it's not a need. It is not a need. If it happens, okay, there's a couple of girls where, and also I thought we were generally vibing per se. Shout out to Jenna in Colorado, but anyways, I'm not gonna go into that story, but basically, yeah, like, yeah, oh yeah, she did decent whatever, but it actually ended up very good because I ended up moving here, which I don't regret, but let's see. Yeah, if it happens, cool, right? It was not like, I never, I don't know. Like, you know what? What I don't know, okay, part of me feels like, okay, they wanted to leave after the fact, and so I didn't feel like a strong nudge, but also it was probably their test too, be like to see if I would be like, oh, okay, so what are you doing now? Okay, so what are you doing after, okay, oh yeah, so what's your plans for today, And if I said, hey, we should go do this or this or do this or that. But actually, I forgot. I forgot it was COVID. Oh, and I remember. So basically, all this shit started happening around COVID when I finally could have basically afford to go down this path. And so COVID basically there was actually nothing to do. So now, yes, I could have said, hey, cool, let's chill, watch TV, watch da 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 da. But sometimes a lot of these, it's like late at night too. It's already 10 o'clock, or whatever, and we're talking a little bit, and we're fucking. Maybe sometimes we talk a little bit after that, or it's just already late. Fucking gotta go to bed or whatever, or we go get a midnight. Yeah, there was a couple times where we just went to go get some midnight snack. Okay, and by that time it's late time, so there's not that many places that are open or whatever. So plus, because I come home from work too, so it's not like and it was during daytime. So. But yeah, I know some of these girls that, yes, if I reached out to them more and more, blah blah blah, this and that. Only a few really reached out, but even they can say, well, yeah, they're trying to get more money. Of course, man, And for me, I was like, well, okay, you can try, but you gotta wait two to 3 days for me to recharge, because I do not want to, in a sense, lose the appreciation of it. So delayed gratification, basically. Just like people intermittent fast, well, I delay gratification when it comes to sex, and obviously it makes financial sense. Now, even when I do have all the finances, which is basically coming about this week or two, still, I know myself basically. I know that, okay, let's say I may do one each day, and basically just like anything else, you're gonna be. At one point, you're going to get full. You're going to get full. And, it's going to take some time for your body to process all that food. And that's why, here's another thing. People, I heard, I made a good analogy or a good articulation or a good parable, is that people who expect to feel satisfied with a job, especially, or if they found that perfect significant other or whatever, or just has a lot of sex with different women, you are fooling yourself. Because again, look at sex just like the food phenomenon. Okay, this is another food parallel, that just like you eat to a certain, whether you overeat or not, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm saying you eat to a point where you're just like, okay, you're satisfied. And obviously, I'm sure some of you have done that, where you ate a big meal and then you go to the grocery store and nothing's appealing, right? Just like when a man just busted, another girl wants to, it's like, if he's like, especially older, right? He's like, okay, I busted already for the day. I'm good. Like, okay, as tempting as it is, I'm done. Okay, I did it. I took my piss. I'm done. Okay. So just like that. So I may have them back to back. And for a while, and I experienced this actually when I was being pretty consistent, even with my every 2 to 3 day schedule. I eventually, I'm like, you know what? Damn, I have no desire to fucking masturbate or nothing. I was perfectly satisfied. But again, just like, okay, I ate that meal. Okay, time passes by, and I'm like, okay, oh shit, I'm getting hungry again. Then the hunger comes back again. Okay, so again, discharge, recharge, okay. You gotta have time to recharge, man. In this case, I say recharge because you're discharging, but you're also recharging in the sense that you're connecting, and the electricity and all that stuff is, recharging the soul, right? So you're discharging on the physical body level, but you're recharging on the soul level. If obviously there was a connection or whatever. But again, a lot of that is really, really just nature, hormones, So that's why then the post nut clarity happens. And da 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 da. So there you go. So speaking, yeah, I had a lot of shrimp lobster sauce right now. But of course, I'm about to take my body to the next level. So you'll see. I mean, I know. People are like, oh my god, like you're not even fat at all. Hey, when you reach like 16% body fat and you can see your 8-pack without much of a flex, all right, I can still see the 6-pack here, but you can see there's a little bit of extra little fat, and that's fine. Again, I'm not seeing any changes in the how girls look at me or whatever, but nonetheless, it's about personal health. And again, I think a lot of people, especially as you get older, you're going to see that. There's times where you're just like, you go into the gym and it's not even a struggle, and then there's just times where you're just like, you know what, I just don't even feel like going to the gym. Like I just went to the gym for the first time in like, I don't know, because I didn't keep track, but I know it's been a while for sure, because I feel it in my bones or whatever. But my body sometimes aches for it too, and I'm just okay, fine, let's do it again, So that's about to happen soon, and I'll be showing you that journey, I guess. Because I've done this, well, actually, I never got that fat as I did back then when I was doing consulting, and then I had to move to Oregon, and then I shredded it all, and because now I was moving and not sitting in a desk, and so, all right, peace out, y'all.